Good morning, all. U.S. Constitution protects all lives matter out there. Good morning to their families. Good morning to our members overseas. And good morning to our dear President, Donald J. Trump and J.D. Vance. It's we the people, for the people, by the people. And thank you, America, for having our troops deployed in a show of force in protecting not only the rights abroad, but those rights abroad are protected from the rights domestically. Remember one thing, ladies and gentlemen, the Trojan horse was created and was deployed by Barack Hussein Obama and those who supported the hoax that he was born in Hawaii. That's where I encountered one individual, undercover FBI SIA rat, named Colleen Poyard. Poyard means poi, Hawaiian. So again, ladies and gentlemen, the Poyard family means from Hawaii. But again, these individuals who act in unison and concert with one another choose to undermine the United States Constitution, which constitutes treason. These individuals who took to the streets and did not have a right to assembly permit did not get nothing done to them. But as a individual Christian pointed out, they applied for one and they was denied. The Chicago administration under Rich Daley would not have tolerated such, but the administration under the Democrats, they tolerate everything. They tolerate soup to nuts, but when it comes to Christianity, it doesn't. When it comes to destroying the Constitution, they're all for it. What does that constitute? Treason. What did Seattle takeover constitute? Treason. Portland, Oregon, treason. Black Lives Matter, treason. These individual organizations that participated were deemed domestic terrorist organizations. Antifa, Black Lives Matter, they are domestic terrorist organizations. But Black Lives Matter is international, so therefore it is a out and outright terrorist organization. The Sicilians were worldwide, and they were for allegedly being involved with crime, was deemed a criminal organization and was tried by the Civil RICO Act, stripped of their funds, not just in Italy, United States, but abroad. The same thing should be conducted against Patrisse Cullors, Rosa Opal, Newsom, and the rest of them who have repeatedly had, hid their nest eggs from the law. Whatever pittances that they were able to regroup is nothing in comparison with what they robbed, raped, and pilfered out of major corporations and the poor people of other countries. And I bring back to mind one individual store who a member of Black Lives Matter walked in and gave a letter demanding money. And if they did not hand over the money, they were going to see trouble. That is extortion. Italian Americans would have been indicted in 2 minutes' time. He wouldn't have been walked out that store. He would have had an indictment already. Lynn Abrams, Stiles, the then U.S. attorney, would have been in the grand jury ex post haste. I was indicted for allegedly spitting on a U.S. Marshal without no DNA or nothing. But there's videotapes where they had me in the basement of the federal courthouse. Why you have me in the basement of a federal courthouse? If I'm turning myself in upstairs, why did you take me to the basement? You going to buy me lunch? No, you had all intentions of committing a very serious bodily injury, which was supposed to be conducted outside, where there was a shooter that was, how do you say, put in a corner, and I just so happened out the corner of my eye, caught that, turned around, I was going to walk to safety, and then the marshals jumped out. But unfortunately for them, the chief marshal for the Southern District of New York back then in 2012 was walking out and said, "Mr. Rizzoli, you're turning yourself in, huh, today?" Yes, sir. So again, ladies and gentlemen, where is the fairness? Where is the corruption? It lies in the Barack Hussein Obama administration's loyalists still employed within the administrations today. The amoeba, the Trojan horse that was inset in the court system and municipal bodies of every state and local government, who have loyalists still there today to Black Lives Matter. And Black Lives Matter is a terrorist organization whose advisor is Barack Hussein Obama. When is it going to stop? Now I have a case under appeal, which I'm going to bring to the October 4th, rally to support the U.S. Constitution and to bring out all the improprieties of federal judges that is going on in the Southern District of New York, and proving beyond a reasonable doubt that the influence of the Barack Hussein Obama organizations has on the effect of federal law and the effect of the rewriting of the Constitution by such rulings that conflict with U.S. Supreme Court rulings and the U.S. Constitution. And such attempt to rewrite the laws by a federal judge and rewrite the Constitution is a violation of the Article 3 oath of office and also the U.S. Constitution Separation of Powers Act. There is no judge can circumvent and bypass a congressional and senatorial ratification of the U.S. constitutional amendments, which must be signed and agreed upon by all. So again, ladies and gentlemen, there is no place in there where a federal judge has to oversee the ratification. But their rulings are trying to attempt to rewrite the Constitution. Equal application and protection of law clause is definitely violated in Chicago when the Christian community was denied a right to assemble permit. But nothing was done when the individual Islamic groups took to the streets and impeded commerce and trade in those areas due to them intentionally blocking the streets. Had anybody else done that, they would have been indicted under the RICO Act. Did they get indicted? No, they didn't. Did they get a ticket? No, they didn't. So we're going to see exactly what the permits come out of New York City, if they grant it or deny it, for October 4th, 2026, at Columbus Park, Mulberry and Ward Street in New York City, which is right behind the courthouse, the U.S. Attorney's Office, the Federal Detention Center, known as MCC New York, and to the right is New York State Supreme Court, and then you have 1 Center Street and the mayor's office. This, ladies and gentlemen, was very, very strategically placed and picked because that area starts an area known as Little Italy in Chinatown. That area is known, or supposed to be known, as the hall or center of the justice system. That area is under cameras. That area will show if, who, when, and how starts an altercation or tries to commit bodily injury, which is considered a hate crime, since we are peacefully gathering and exercising our constitutional right to freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of the press. So again, ladies and gentlemen, let's stand up, be peaceful October 4th. And you know something? I laugh at others who laughed at me years ago, calling me all types of nasty names and laughing at me, calling me a lunatic, calling me a moron, calling me a nut job. Well, who's the nut job? Who's the morons? And who is what? Who is insane? Are you insane? Or were the federal Secret Service agents under the Obama detail that came to my house at 114 Belmont, the same place where U.S. Constitution protects all lives matter has its work area, the same place that was broken into, and evidence in them cases that were, illegally dismissed by judges Laura Swain, Judge Schoenfeld, Judge Denise Coate, Judge Collins, Judge Wang, the Bronx DA's office, which conducted my 2 trials, which I took at your trial and exercised my constitutional rights, which they violated. They violated the Rosario Material Act under the New York state law and Brady Material under federal law. But Judge Lyman and Magistrate Judge Ricardo feel different. That's why it's pending appeal today. It's pending appeal in the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, which has been repeatedly impeded, and the clerks have been saying, this is defective, that's defective, wrong address, wrong this, wrong that. Well, you're missing this sheet of paper, that sheet of paper. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I repair everything, send it back in, and whoever is impeding the mail, whether it be the U.S. Postal Service, which COINTELPRO is underway, or the U.S. Marshals who cull through the mail in the federal building, who are acting under COINTELPRO and Project M. I might not have no children due to this incident in February of 2008 caused by Barack Hussein Obama, Eric Holder, and the BOP director. But, ladies and gentlemen, I will prevail no matter how or what year and how old I am. I will make sure these individuals and their children don't enjoy the money that they robbed from the American people and from the Republican Party and from the Italian Americans and other ethnic groups that they thought was a joke. You want to get back? Well, here's Kevin Rizzoli's get back. I have the Constitution on my side. And I did 30 years in jail. You can use all the rats you want to try to set me up. And you're just doing a good job at sending your rats into me. And you know what I'm doing? I'm hitting grand slam home runs. Grand slam home runs with everything that they're doing because it's all documented. And I love it. You might have flipped Joe Massino, Sal Vitale, his sister-in-law, whatever it is. His brother-in-law. But I think he got a sex change. Same as Joe Messina. Same as this Gene Borelli, whatever his name is. Anthony Ruggiano, whose father is probably turning over in his grave and throwing up in his casket. Mikey Scars, Francesca Crappiano, and his little fuckboy, Remy Sierra, who got raped in where? Rikers Island, while in the custody of the U.S. Marshals because he couldn't pay his heroin bill. That's what the government has. Heroin addicts to undermine people. Imagine this. A full-blown junkie. But, again, thanks to Francesca Crappiano and the boys, or shall we say, his pom-pom squad, they're all in a witness protection program. They all got sex changes. They went from tough guys to cheerleaders. And who are they cheering for? Team USA. And who do we cheer for? We cheer for the good people. We cheer for the underdog. We cheer for peace, love, and equality. And we cheer for God Bless America. We cheer for the troops deployed overseas and domestically trying to save our country from the destruction that Barack Hussein Obama deployed when he took office, which was his intention. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. October 4th, 2026 is coming, and I will keep you advised if we are denied the right to assemble permit. God bless.